Greetings, New Hampshire Democrats. This is Sebastian Fuentes, Political Director at the New Hampshire Democratic Party. I'm so excited to introduce you to many of you to Mr. Kermit Williams. Mr. Williams is the current chair of the Wilton Democrats. He has been a former state rep since 2012 and 2020. Current chair of the Wilton Select Board and a longtime activist. Mr. Williams, welcome.
Thank you.
Really quick, we want to know more about what got you involved into politics. If you can tell us a little bit about you.
Well, so let me give you my origin story for being a Democrat. I mean, I've always been a Democrat. And when I was in college, I had the chance to be, I grew up in upstate New York, northern New York, really. And I had the chance to be the Northern New York college coordinator for the Jimmy Carter campaign.
Wow.
And based on that, and Jimmy Carter was sort of the underdog, especially in New York, because Kennedy was also trying to run in '76, and so I got to be an alternate for Carter at the 1976 Democratic Convention.
Wow.
And that was, I was 22. It was a wonderful experience. And that really got me excited about politics. But then I got married and I got a job. I worked in the computer software business and really didn't have the opportunity to be involved like that going forward until I moved to New Hampshire. And of course, New Hampshire, as everybody watching this probably knows,
Right.
has always been the place where politics is a lot more local. There's a lot more opportunity to do things in person, to hear people speak face to face. Maybe a big crowd, but still,
Right.
you're not have to watch it on TV. You can
That's
really
right.
participate. And so when I moved to Wilton, I moved to Wilton in 2004. And I got to know a guy named Hal Melker. And Hal was the last Democrat state rep from Wilton before me. I mean, I got elected in 2012. He was elected in the 90s. And
Wow.
at that point, Hal was in his 80s, but he was a really dynamic guy. He was chair of the Wilton Democrats. And I would wish I could do as well as he does, as he did in 2004 when I moved to town. We had a very active group of Democrats. I was one of the younger members. I mean, they were all closer to Hal's age than they were to my age, but I sort of took my cues from Hal, and Hal was one of the things that he was part of was the Howard Dean campaign. And when Howard Dean's campaign kind of terminated, they turned it into more of a they called it instead of Dean for New Hampshire, they called it Democracy for New Hampshire.
I remember
And
that. Yep.
Hal was part of that group, and he brought me into that group, and he really got me involved in New Hampshire politics. And I ended up being chair of the Democracy for New Hampshire group, and we did a lot of organization. We helped. I think we helped about 70 state reps get elected in the 2006 election.
There we go.
That was the year that the first time where Democrats really took back the legislature from the Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
And, so from then on, I was hooked, and I was involved in one way or another from, really from 2004 forward, which was when I first moved back to New Hampshire. I had lived in Nashua before that, but I had been in Michigan for a while. And I think from then on, I was hooked on grassroots. The idea of electing people, at the personal level, because I mean, that's the one thing about being a state rep or, helping state reps get elected. Anywhere else, I lived in Massachusetts for a while. In Massachusetts, state representatives it's a full-time job. They're paid a whole lot of money, and they're elected by hundreds of thousands of people. And really the only way to run there is to run on TV and newspaper
Right.
ads and mailings and all that kind of stuff. But in New Hampshire, you can knock on people's doors, and it's so much better way of doing things than
That's real grassroots politics, I would say.
yep, yep,
Yes.
yeah. I
Well,
mean,
maybe this. Go ahead.
and
No, that leads me to my next question. For somebody that is new and is trying to get involved into New Hampshire politics, what will be your tips, your recommendation, your suggestion to them?
well, like I said, I think the personal connection is really it's both what makes it interesting for me at least, but also I think what makes it something that you can do without having a lot of money to spend.
Mm,
It's your time and not your money. But it's really an opportunity to meet people, to answer questions for them and ask them questions about what's important to them, the kinds of things that they think need to be changed in New Hampshire. And I really enjoyed that. It was the opportunity to get to know um, my constituents
yeah.
in a way that you really can't do almost anywhere else, and that's what led me to become a selectman as well. I got to know a whole lot of people, and some of those folks came to me as a state rep and said, "Hey, we really like you to run for selectman." And I thought, well, that's not really, I'm not sure
Mm,
that's a good idea, but selectmen meet at night and state reps meet during the day, so
there
I
we
was
go.
able to do
That's
both.
a full-time job.
Yep, yep.
That's interesting. That's actually, I want to thank you for that. And maybe my final question before we wrap up. You have been a state rep. You're a select board member. You're the chair of the Wilton Dems. What will be a strategy that works for you that you think can work for other people that you can share with us?
Well, living in a district where Democrats can get elected is a challenge. So we got redistricted. My town got redistricted into a very heavily Republican district, and we haven't elected
Yep.
a Democrat since.
Hmm.
And so, if you are someone who wants to get involved in Democratic politics, choosing where you are is part of it, which is sad. It shouldn't be like that.
Right.
It's the way it is. I mean, if you live in Nashua, for instance, most years all 27 reps from Nashua are Democrats.
Right.
Um, and Nashua was a great place to do door to door because the houses are closer together. And so, I had a lot of friends from Nashua, and we would talk about campaign strategies, and it's in Wilton, a lot of your campaigning is driving door to door. You're not walking door to door, even though we call them
Yeah.
walk lists, but you're not really walking. It's too far.
I canvassed up in the North Country during the last election too, and Carol
Yep,
Grafton calls. We have a list of 50 houses, and usually those lists can take me a couple of days. When if I was canvassing in Manchester, it
yep,
would take me a couple of hours. So,
right,
Mr.
right,
Mr.
yeah,
Williams, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you spending your time with us. Thank you for sharing those, your personal story with us with the New Hampshire Democrats, and also what are you doing in your town? I'm looking forward to connect with you. And then again, thank you so much for sharing these few minutes of your time today with us.
absolutely. I'm happy to do that.
Thank you, and thank you for the work you do in Wilton.
All right, I enjoyed talking to you.
Alrighty, I thank you folks that are tuning in right now. Until the next edition, this is Sebastian. I'll talk to you later.
Bye bye.